All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Football is King podcast. This is our first of two episodes. Once again, we are rolling out our new format this year with 2 episodes per week, talking college football on this one. If you would like our NFL, wait till tomorrow's video. As always, we appreciate. Yes, Shane, you've raised your hand in the intro. Thank you.
What's that even mean?
I don't know.
I don't
seen
know.
that you raise your hand. So
I figured
raised
he
it.
wanted to talk, so I paused the intro right before we got to the most important part where we are still climbing. Gosh dang it, I hate all of y'all. We are still climbing our subscriber goal to make it to 100 subscribers this year. I think we have passed the 30 mark. Hooray. Keep getting new subscribers every week. We appreciate. We ask that you continue to like and subscribe. And for all of our YouTube deficient people out there like my mother, if you would like to know when our episodes are released, click the bell and set the notifications to send you a notification whenever we drop a new video on YouTube. Sorry for the flack that you caught there, Kim Williamson, but we love you. But yeah, I had to explain to my mom. She was like, I didn't know that you released an episode. And I was like, we always release an episode. And if you just push the little bell, it'll tell you when we've released a new episode.
There you go.
All right, let's go. Let's start off. We always like to start off our college football segment with some BS conjecture. I want to talk about Coach Prime. I have a lot of Colorado thoughts this week, but my BS conjecture has nothing to do with football. It's all about Coach Prime. What are your thoughts on his fake cursing on the TV all the time? Like he keeps saying the bull junk.
I love the bull jive, the bull junk. Love it all. I think it's hilarious.
I'm the opposite. I hate it because you know why? Dion, I hope you're listening because you're going to make up beef with any random person on the internet, apparently, is what we've learned from you. Jesus knows what's in your heart, Coach Prime, and knows that you're saying BS instead of bull junk.
I'm going to start saying bull junk. I think it's honestly hilarious.
He definitely is saying bull junk.
Yeah. In his heart, he is not saying bull junk, and Jesus knows. So we just need you to know that, Coach Prime. And you know what? To Jesus, it's personal. As we like to say.
Yeah. That's
it's
like
personal.
when you use the old frick.
Yeah.
Old frick.
Old frick, the mother father or whatever, like people say. Like all of them. They're all bad.
It's very funny to me, though, hearing him yell it. It's very funny.
Like a grown man that's coaching football. Oh, Shane. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's beautiful.
He found a way to do it.
That's good. No. That's fine. As long as that's a good background for Shane because he's not in his car now.
That's why I saw that you could do backgrounds and said, "Oh, I'm gonna be."
All right, but don't move too much.
I'm about to be sitting out of Hooters. 1 minute.
Hey, this is a video podcast. Okay, it took a lot of work for me to get this school approved in case my students find it. I think Hooters is going to put us in danger.
Hooters is a family restaurant.
Well, it depends on which photo you find. Although I will say, my school no longer has a dress code, so it basically looks like a Hooters anyway. The other thing that's driving me crazy with Coach Prime has got to be him just making up fake stories like Ed Werder, like writing bad things about him, even though he didn't. Like all of those things is just he's getting a little fake. I'm losing my shine on Coach Prime, but he's good entertainment.
I'm still in on Coach Prime. He almost had me buying his sunglasses this past week because I was.
That's fine. I love the swagger. I love all
I
that.
have an issue? For 3.5 quarters of that game on Saturday, he got out-coached 1,000,000 times. That dude got out-coached so fucking bad.
I mean, his only coaching strategy is, like I was saying, if there's not bulletin board material, he will literally fabricate it to get his players motivated. And that's what I don't like. Like, I mean, I'm fine if you're going to fabricate something, make it some not famous respected reporter. Make it some beat reporter from some random team that like you're gonna play that week that no one knows. But like, don't throw like these ESPN respected people. Like, leave Ed alone. Ed is a respected journalist. Don't throw him under the bus.
Also, Coach Prime is using the Nick Sirianni, less thanky, more athlete takeovery. That's what he does. He's got athletes. He's got just they're quicker, faster, stronger. Let them do their thing.
They're quicker, faster, stronger than these bad teams.
That's what I was gonna say. Like they're about to get exposed.
Yeah, we're about to learn a lot about Colorado.
We're gonna find out this weekend. That's
Saturday.
a good tease.
We're gonna find out about a lot of teams on Saturday.
Is that game in the middle?
About to be the Heisman favorite.
Yeah. Is that game in the middle of the night again?
No, I believe it's at 12. It's like 10 a.m.
No, local. They're not the early game. I think they're the 3 o'clock.
3:30.
Colorado USC.
No, it's Colorado, Oregon.
Colorado, Oregon. All right.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Colorado
we
USC.
have while we have our fact checkers out there checking what time that lasts, I do have a question for the podcast for segment number 2. And there we go. That wraps up 5 minutes of BS conjecture. Good job, everyone, staying on time. Keep it going. Segment number 2, question of the podcast. This is something for us degenerate gamblers out there to watch out for. Do the new college football time rules make it easier for these tiny teams to cover?
Yeah.
All of these like 30-point spreads. I would love to see the data on how many of them are covering because they can play it nice and slow and just not get the crap. I mean, they still lose by a ton.
Week 1, I was betting all the like humongous underdogs.
How'd that work out for you?
1, because the offenses are usually out of sync in week 1.
Yeah.
2, because the games are going to go so much quicker. But I don't know what the numbers are.
I will say, after week 1, we said Blake was out on it. I was kind of indifferent. But after watching real college football, I think I'm out on the rule change. I want it to go back to how it was.
I'm not upset if they truly shorten the game.
Yes, but they're not.
There was times when I had 4 games up. Every single one of them was on commercial.
Yes.
Yeah, the commercials are
if there were 4 games on commercial, that's a problem.
I've never had a problem where if I'm watching multiple games at once, where I'm always watching football no matter what on a Saturday. It's not that way anymore. It's not.
I will say though, if you're a degenerate gambler like we like to be, it might be something to look out for right now. Like Vegas hasn't, I mean, it's new for Vegas setting the lines too, because the games are quicker. Yeah. I mean, they're not quicker in time, but they're quicker on the field. So like, yeah. I mean, if you can have an edge over Vegas and turn a 52% chance into a 62% chance, that's huge.
I think I read that the over-unders were still kind of pretty close. I think the unders were hitting more frequently, but it was like a very inconsequential number.
I'm more just like also this year, like none of the best teams are most of the best teams aren't playing great every weekend. So I don't know if it's just because the best teams aren't as good as normal that
I think the transfer portal has really out the field a lot.
I think right now, if you're gambling college football, I think that those giant spreads are where you have the biggest advantage right now in college football, and I kind of like it. I think right now we have a slight edge over Vegas, which is insane to say.
After the first 2 weeks of college football, whatever it is, I guess 3 technically. I think this year I might be jumping them, but I think this year of all years is the perfect year for the 12-team playoff because there's not one clear-cut team. There is not one team that I'm sitting there watching going, you know what? They're above the rest.
Shane is always keeping it. I mean, he reads the script beforehand because the next thing we were going to talk about that this is the best year for outsiders to make the playoffs. So here's what I want. I want a percentage. I want and we can just go around the percent chance that this team makes the playoff this year with a 4-team playoff. Now, if it was with a 12-team playoff, probably all of these teams make the playoff. But 4-team playoff this year, based off what we've seen through 3 weeks, technically 4 weeks, I guess, if you count week 0. But officially, this was week 3 of college football. Washington. What's the % chance they make the playoffs this year?
0%.
15%.
3%.
Pac-12 is pretty good, so I think they're all going to beat each other up a little bit.
0.
I got them at 20. I feel pretty. I actually honestly, 20 feels low to me. I think that they're the most complete team in the Pac-12. But I know everyone loves Penix, but he always has one game that he looks like absolute poop.
It'll always happen, it seems like.
Yeah.
Penix is poop.
But I think that I agree with you that they are the most complete team in the Pac-12. It's just a question of the Pac-12 is actually kind of up this year. Although they don't have the end of the year is crazy for them.
Yeah.
But
All right, Notre Dame.
0. That's 0%. 5%. 5%.
I mean, their test is this weekend.
They've got this, and then they've got USC.
Oh, I think they steamroll USC
I think they beat USC too, but
because Notre Dame has a defense, and USC will not stop Notre Dame once. That Notre Dame running back will rush for 250 yards.
yeah.
Notre Dame has an easier schedule than Washington. I would say 25%.
I've got Notre Dame at like 50%. I think it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip based off this weekend. I think it's a coin flip based off this weekend.
When I'm taking in percentage, I'm thinking what I want to watch. I do not want to watch either of those teams in the playoff.
Oh, for sure. But Washington is chaos. Washington is chaos. They could get beat by 50 and they could win by 50. So
they're just going to be last year's TCU.
Notre Dame has like a 30 to 40% chance of being.
Yeah, I think if they beat Ohio State this weekend, like they've got a very
lot.
good
If
chance.
they beat Ohio State, they're in it.
Well, it depends on what happens when you play USC. All right, the University of Texas.
75.
No, gosh. I still think they'll blow 3 games.
3's a lot.
I'll give them a good
Big 12 sucks.
30.
Oklahoma looks
30.
pretty freaking good.
I'll give them about a 2% chance.
I like that. I give them a 50-50 shot because it comes down to the Oklahoma game.
What happened this week? They look very not great this week.
Okay, we'll talk.
They
We'll
look
talk about
bad.
Quinn Ewers later, but Quinn Ewers is he's an interesting fella. All right, we'll do these two at the same time. Oregon or Oregon State. Okay, the state of Oregon, are they representing?
0. Oregon State's not for sure.
How dare you, DJ Ungalungle or whatever his name is, looking like a Heisman winner.
Oregon, I'll give them a 10% shot.
Oh, fair. What about USC? There's a lot of Pac-12 schools that it's like
USC.
Can they break in?
USC's the wild card because they can outscore anyone they play, but there's always going to be those couple games where your offense just isn't clicking.
Yeah, but if they have one decent loss, the committee's gonna want Caleb Williams in the playoffs.
Oh, agree.
I think that they're at, depending on how I think that their one loss is gonna come to Notre Dame, and I still think they make it. I'm putting them at 70%.
Oh, I'd put them at 30 something. I still think the Pac-12 is I think they could all. There's the potential they all beat each other up.
I don't though. I think that they just are better than some other conferences that they're playing, but I think when they play each other, that the cream is going to rise to the top.
That could happen too.
All right, and finally, the dark horse out of everybody, the Miami Hurricanes out of the ACC.
Miami actually, I hate to say,
they look pretty decent.
They look pretty good,
and I don't think the ACC is very strong.
No, that's what I was going to look up. Who do they even play?
They gotta beat Florida State.
Florida State and UNC.
And Duke. Do they play Clemson?
They do not play Duke. They do not play Clemson.
All right, so
they do play Clemson. They do play Clemson.
Okay.
They got to play UNC and Clemson and Florida State.
Who's this?
Miami Hurricanes.
Miami has a legit shot at it.
I mean,
they have the
Tyler.
They have the 8th-year senior quarterback.
Tyler Van Dyne looks like a beast.
Their D-line is legit.
Yeah, their O-line is legit.
O-line is legit. They got some legit. They got a chance.
They've got some issues with their secondary, but that's fine.
It will make me a whole lot feel better if they make it.
For sure. Cool. All right. Those are just some teams that I think are on the outside. And when you read through that entire list of teams, you could look at all of them, and they could all lose to the most embarrassing team of all time. They could all lose to Bethune-Cookman this weekend. Who knows? So
but it goes the opposite ways too. They could either all lose or all win out.
Correct. I'm ready for. Well, they can't all win out because like 5 of them were in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
but
you know
I'm
what
excited. I'm excited. I think there's gonna be a lot of chaos this year, and I do feel bad for the committee this year trying to pick 4 teams. I think
This
it's gonna be
weekend
rough.
there might be a lot of chaos. There's
Yeah.
6 ranked games, I believe.
Yeah,
I don't feel bad for the committee. Maybe this makes them loosen up a little bit, and we can, enjoy some football instead of sitting there with our thumbs up our butthole so far that we're tripping. Just
that's not going to happen. To Blake's point, this weekend we do have quite a few ranked games. We have Colorado, Oregon, which the point spread will tell you that that's not going to be a good game, but we'll find out. Utah, UCLA. I'm not sold on UCLA, to be honest. So, also, is Cam Rising going to play in this game?
He didn't play last week still.
I know. Is he going to play? So that's a big question mark there. Ole Miss versus Alabama.
I think Ole Miss has a legit shot on that one.
I like me some Lane Kiffin, but I don't know. What's their record in Tuscaloosa is real bad.
They beat.
Yeah, well, we've never seen a
That's true.
Tuscaloosa team.
Oregon State, Washington State. I mean, Washington State is ranked, but we got a top 10 matchup in Ohio State versus Notre Dame. I like it. And then we got some classic Big Ten football with Penn State, Iowa.
Do you think, am I the only one that thinks that Ohio State game is either going to be a field goal to win it or an absolute blowout?
I mean, it could be.
I think if there's a blowout, it's going to be on the side of Notre Dame.
Yep. I got some real questions about Ohio State's offense. I don't think
Ohio State's that good.
I mean, they could be that good. It's right, like Blake said, it's early in the year. Offenses struggle at this point in the year in college football, and maybe they figured out. Maybe because Ohio State hasn't played anybody, they've been looking ahead at Notre Dame for the past 3 weeks. Who knows?
Shoot, offensive struggle in the NFL early in the season, so it's.
Oh, not this past weekend. Are you kidding me? First weekend was nothing but unders. This weekend was overs galore. Except for on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that
Except for actually one of the games did hit the over because of a lot of defensive touchdowns. All right. That's for a different podcast, though. Today we're talking about how the Aggies steamroll the Warhawks.
Yes, sir.
I legit don't know. I don't know what to make of this team. I really don't.
I will officially say.
I was not uber impressed. I'll say that.
What do you mean? We barely gave up. We looked good.
Wigman, what did he complete like 80-something% of his passes?
Yeah, I'm officially. I like Connor Wigman. Out of our last 5 quarterbacks, he's like my favorite. He's good.
Connor's the dude.
I just want to see more from the defensive line.
Our coaching is terrible. Durkin is absolutely pathetic.
It's just
you say that. Like, what did we give up? Like 3 points, 7 points?
Yeah, 3 points. 3 points. But still,
Truthfully, I didn't watch the game this weekend, but I just know Durkin is terrible.
I did, and I know that we were playing a low team so that we could do this. We were definitely still running 3 linemen on every play. But the defense all around looks significantly improved against a much weaker opponent.
I think we're going to find out a lot this weekend. I just wish Jimbo would sit with Durkin and be like, dude, go watch about 4 Mike Elko games.
Yes.
Just watch what the defense does and just copy that. Whatever it is he does, copy it.
Just copy and paste.
He blitzes. That's the crazy thing to me. If you blitz in college, that quarterback is going to freak out. That's what they do.
It depends on how you blitz. Well, but then you got to be careful. If you blitz and you can take away the short throw, missed tackle. Because that's the other thing, like in college football all the time, especially in the Big 12. It's, you bring the blitz, they throw a slant, he beats the dude off the line, and then there's no one on the rest of the field.
But again, against we didn't blitz. I mean, we blitzed. I could probably count on one hand how many times we blitzed.
And when we did blitz, they didn't get there ever.
No, but we got to mix it up a little bit.
I agree. I'm just saying you got to be careful with your, Shoot, what was the game this past weekend? Or was it 2 weekends? I don't know. There was a team that they just blitzed on every play, and the offensive coordinator never adjusted. I can't remember what game it was. So that's on me. Forget I brought that up.
Well, I think we'll learn a lot this upcoming week.
Yeah, I just think coming into this year, our defense was supposed to be this elite bunch, and even against ULM, did they look good? Yes. We only gave up 3 points. I'm not discounting that. But in order to beat SEC teams, our defensive line has got to get home. And if you
I don't know about that this year. Have you seen the SEC this year?
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm probably not taking into account the SEC this year, but on a typical year,
Yeah.
you've got to get to the quarterback, and we have not proven we can do that yet.
Oh, for sure. Because I mean, when you only bring 3 people every play,
Yeah.
and it's really hard for 3 to beat 5 or 6.
No, and I agree with that.
Which
That
by Miami, it was sitting there with. I mean, they didn't even get a.
Yeah.
he had all time,
our-
all day to throw.
Yeah, our secondary has not impressed me, which I
And
thought
the
was
Bulls-
going
I
to
also
be
think some of that is the fact that they sit back there all day. They're having a couple
for sure.
10 seconds.
But I thought our secondary was going to be like our strength. We got a lot of people returning, and there's been some disappointment.
also,
I think-
a lot of tackles.
Yeah, I think Richardson's taken a huge step down from last year.
I
Dude.
honestly think a lot of it boils down to coaching. I think DJ Durkin is 75% of the problem.
Yeah, but I also, by the time you made it to be a D1 college football player, you
Yeah.
should know how to tackle.
Yes.
You should have been
There's no
coached up
excuse
at this
for that.
point to where you know how to tackle.
The missed tackles on the players, but the scheme of
Yeah. No, the scheme's bad. But the scheme is the same as last year, and our secondary was very good last year.
we couldn't stop the run last year though.
Correct. But I think, yeah, it's just it's a little bit. We'll find out this weekend. We're playing
Yeah,
a, what, 3-0 Auburn football team?
Who
Are they
I don't
3-0?
think
I don't
is
know.
very
3-0.
good.
They haven't looked that good.
Yeah, I honestly haven't watched
They
a single Auburn
barely
game.
beat Cal.
Hey, that's Pac-12 school. Watch out.
They're an okay team. That's why I think we'll learn a lot. Because if they beat us, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're in a lot of trouble.
Hey,
The
speaking of
fire
being in
emblem
trouble,
is coming out
Moose
strong.
Muhammad only had 4 catches this Saturday. Man,
Moose has not looked good in a
he's got to
single
come
game.
alive at some point, right?
And Moose only had 4 catches, and Evan didn't even play.
Who even Noah Thomas didn't play last week either, did he?
No. I'm hoping that they benched Evan Stewart for a week because he wouldn't fall forward for a first down against Miami. So they put him on his butt
True that.
on the 5-yard line twice, which is why we lost that game. But that's fine.
Either that or Jimbo's sitting people because he knows he better beat Auburn or else it's going to get pretty loud.
Oh, if
He had Moose return punts,
he'll
too.
be calling for
Yeah.
Dion in a second.
No.
This rate, I will
Please
take
no.
They would, though.
I
will
don't.
take-
I-
In a heartbeat.
They would, but Dion does not match the vibe at Texas A&M
I agree.
at
And
all.
I think Dion is a
Why is
great-
that, Austin? Why is
Because
that?
Texas A&M's boosters are a bunch of old whites who do not agree with anything that Dion
Old
says.
I also
So
think
many old whites.
Dion is perfect for a program with no expectations.
Yep.
Unfortunately, if you come to Texas A&M or Texas or any of those big schools, there are expectations.
Ooh, I think he matches Texas pretty well.
Texas would be different,
Maybe a little bit overhyped.
but I still
relies
think about
100% just on the vibe. That sounds like
think
Texas
about
football
the
to me.
personalities that succeed at Texas. It is not Dion's personality.
No.
I will.
The
And you
last
don't listen to the
personality
boosters,
that succeeded at Texas was an old white.
and you have to listen to the boosters.
Oh,
Dion's
no.
not listening to no boosters.
Yeah. I'm talking about the boosters wouldn't like Dion. And
Oh, no, they would hate
And
Dion.
Well,
A-
Texas boosters wouldn't either, I don't think.
Oh, yeah, they would because he brings in cash, and that's all the Texas boosters care
but
about.
they-
They don't care
they
about
want
winning. Have you
they
looked
want
at
their
Texas
input.
football recently? They don't care about winning. They care about money.
Yeah, but
But I
they
think
want
they want
people to
influence.
No,
listen
that's
to
not
them.
true. They want to be able to pick the starting quarterback. They
Yeah,
want to be able
Yeah,
to
I agree.
dictate what happens.
Correct, but none of that has to deal with whether they win or not. They just want say.
And I don't think Dion.
I
would
don't
give them-
think
Yeah, I
Dion.
don't think Dion's letting them pick whether Arch Manning or
Dion
his
will
son
let
plays.
Dion will let anyone play quarterback if his
I don't
son
think
has
so.
graduated. He doesn't
I don't
care
think so.
unless it's his son.
No, but
I
I don't
think
think
Dion
would
wants
care-
to
I don't
win.
think Dion wants anyone in his ears.
Yeah. Dion wants to beat to his own drum. He wants to do it his way. There's no let's have a conference call and get input. No, it's and
I
mean,
think Dion sees that check that he gets from UT, and he takes that in a heartbeat.
Well, that's my question. So Colorado
They
literally
can't
said
be that
they
much
don't.
to him.
No, Colorado said they don't even have the money to pay him.
Yeah.
Where's the money at? Did they pay him or did they not?
There's money.
Well,
They
I heard
literally said when they hired him, like, we don't have the money right now, but we'll find it. But it's like, okay, you can go to a program like Texas A&M, wherever, and they will have the money for you, and it'll be way more than Colorado can pay you. That's the question.
I'm just saying, once Shadur, I mean, we already know that he doesn't care about Shiloh. Once Shadur graduates, then
Did you see he power ranked his kids and he put Shiloh
I
last?
kind of
yeah,
like
he's
that.
Shiloh's 5th out of 5th.
Dude, Shiloh had a great freaking game too.
He did,
He
but he's
did,
still
yeah.
5th out of 5th.
He's 5th out of 5th on the kid power rankings.
He said that it doesn't matter what you do on the football field. That doesn't have anything to do with the kid rankings.
He literally
Travis
said,
Hunter, let's be honest. Travis Hunter probably has a higher favor.
probably
Deion Sanders
Shador
has.
was number 3. He literally
Yeah.
said, I mean, every parent does it. I'm just the only one that'll do it in
It's
public.
true. It's true. It is true,
Yeah.
though. Let's be honest.
Well, okay, but
That's funny.
that's also saying something. Like, everyone does it, but like not everyone puts it on the internet for their children to see.
He was like, what's
They might tell their friends while they're like,
It might
at
be some
happy hour,
motivation,
but they're
Might
not
be
just
some
like,
motivation.
hey, F you, Shiloh, I don't like you.
I thought about starting to put my kids in a ranking on the internet. So
All right,
when
let's do it, Shane. You got a newborn, you got 2 other kids, rank them.
When they
It was
get,
pretty cool.
All right, rank them.
Rank them.
Oh, you
Come
know
on,
my
pick
ranking?
6.
I've got an easy ranking.
I want you to rank them right now.
Jolene, Newton, and the new one.
Yeah, that was easy. It was gonna go 1, 2, 3 for sure.
Also, they can't
Now
understand it.
that's
Wait till
not
he's 16.
that's
He's
not
freaking
fair.
boy.
That's not fair at this point in time because also
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not fair.
you can't put a newborn to try to
No.
beat Jolene and Newt. But
It's not even a close race.
you give that some
He
time.
literally called it
Hey.
the new one.
Yeah, you give that. Yeah, you did not say their name. You give it some time though. Then I bet newborn's gonna climb those rankings pretty
Oh
quick.
yeah, because Jolene and Newt are all I listen to is screaming
Yeah.
and then beating the hell out of each other, and then mommy or daddy, they done this, they done that. But daddy, can we go see this?
Parents
we
always love the
do that?
youngest.
Because
The youngest
Elsa
is always
knows
the spoiled and loves it. As y'all are all older siblings, y'all can attest to that.
It was pretty. It was. I will say,
As a
speaking
younger-
about kids, it was pretty cool when Shiloh had the pick 6. The moment with Dion afterwards.
It was,
Yes.
yeah, it was
That was
cool.
yeah.
All right, we'll talk about that a little bit
Dude.
later too, because I got some more things that I'm gonna. I really just want to beat up on Colorado this week. They drove me crazy. Plus, we're gonna rip on the national media because it's been a disgrace. But before we talk about that, let's talk about how everyone sucks in college football. No one's good.
No.
No one's good.
The Big 12, horrendous weekend. Missouri beat K-State on a boom of a 61-yard field goal.
What a kick!
All right, let's talk, though, on that, which I love, Thicker the Kicker. Great name from, I can't remember his name, but whatever the kicker at Missouri's is, he took Dicker the Kicker from UT's nickname and called himself Thicker the Kicker. Great. He's a
He
bit
is
of a
thick.
big lad. He's a bit of a big lad, but let's talk, because it's always a fun thing to talk about. Let's talk about storming the field etiquette. Was it appropriate for the Missouri Tigers, who are 3.5-point dogs at home, to storm the field because they beat 15th K-State?
Look, if you're Missouri and you beat a ranked opponent, you storm the field.
I don't
sorry.
even.
All right, fair.
I'm a fan of storm every chance you can storm.
I don't have a problem with it.
This is an SEC program, storming the field.
I used to get annoyed by it, but now I'm kind of like, if
We gotta have
stormed the
higher
field
standards,
while we were at
Joe.
Let 'em
A&M,
have
I would've been
fun.
right down there.
Let them have fun.
I will say the moment of hitting a 61-yard field goal to win in college football, I'd be overzealous as well, especially
Now-
after like a delay of game or false start, whatever it was that backed it up 5 more yards. Like, yeah,
That's probably a
now-
bit of like a regional
But-
rivalry, somewhat. Too.
yeah, that's true.
But there might need to be some type of a rule to it. Colorado storming for North
Yeah.
Colorado. Colorado. State.
Colorado storming the field when they were 29-point favorites or
24,
whatever.
24.
24.
That's I'm sorry.
That's
Colorado,
bad.
they should strip the win.
That's bad.
I think those people
I
are
think
just
there's
so-
a time and place. If you beat another Power 5 school, sure. But
Hey,
you
no.
just beat a nobody.
People,
Colorado
they,
was one
they
of the
won
11
one game last year. They won 3
Yeah.
games in third.
No.
Still don't mind it a
10
ton.
years.
It's the hype
I
train.
don't
It's
mind
the
it.
hype.
I,
If
it doesn't
Dion
matter
wasn't
if
the
it's hype.
coach, they're not
The only
storming that
reason why
field.
they stormed the field in that game because that game was chippy.
That
Yeah,
game was
yes.
amazing.
But once again, Colorado hasn't won. I'd be surprised
we
if
all
they
got
beat
them.
the Powder Puff local high school.
I bet they
let
beat
'em storm the
Colorado
field.
State last year.
Dude,
No, the
Who did-
only
no,
one
they
I'm going to go ahead
they
and,
beat Cal.
They
That was
beat
the one
Cal.
game they won.
Oh,
They beat Cal, and that's it.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, though, number 11 might be one of my new favorite players.
oh,
Like, take the cheap shot,
No,
dude.
Right.
that was so dirty.
no.
That was
All right,
the cheapest
forget
cheap
it. We're
shot of all
We're
time.
skipping ahead. We're going to come back to the everybody sucks category, but we've brought up Colorado too many times. So we're getting into it. Let's talk about Colorado versus Colorado State. It's going to be our thumbnail for this week because it was a freaking wrestling match on the field. And I cannot believe that I'm going to say this. I agree with Jonathan Heisner
No
on
way.
this. It was a
Dude,
dirty play.
So
But-
It was a
Should've been
dirty
ejected.
play, but good Lord.
It
you
was
wanna
a
talk
late
about
hit.
a team that never shuts the fuck up.
Also, it was a
Colorado
late hit.
never shuts the fuck up.
It was a late
Johnny,
hit, but it
that
was
should
no.
be the team you love.
I love it,
Yeah.
but if you're going to talk, you better be willing to get hit for it. You can't talk shit and not
didn't-
get hit.
Hey, he wasn't mad about it. He literally said,
No,
it's
he-
football.
He
See
said
that?
it's football. You're going to have that hit thrown.
But it was
Man,
dirty.
Travis
as hell.
Hunter's not mad
But
about it.
it's
I
still-
ain't mad about it.
It was so
If
dirty.
you talk shit,
Okay.
get hit.
Here's
It
what
was so dirty.
Here's what I'll argue to you, Blake. How is it any different than a defensive lineman hitting the quarterback after one extra step? All number 11 does after the ball goes over his head is take one
Well,
step and hit him.
well,
That's
That
it.
ball
He
has been
hits
on the
him.
ground for 2 seconds.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Number 11 at a full
So
sprint.
dirty.
Number 11 at a full sprint. I've watched this video so many times. He takes one extra step. He doesn't hit him high. He doesn't hit him low. He hits him right in the chest
That
with
dude-
his shoulder. It's a late hit. It's a 15-yard penalty, but all these people blowing it up like it's any different. It's no different than a defensive
kid's
lineman or a
getting
linebacker
dick rips,
hitting
bro.
the quarterback by taking one extra step.
The problem I have with it is the dude was never once in that play playing the ball. Never
Sure he
once.
was. His job, he knew he's not going to get there to make a pass breakup or whatever.
He's the
His
lone
job
line
as the
safety.
safety is to come across and blow him up.
That
Bro,
was a
he
pretty
blew
like
him up.
if we're throwing people out for targeting, he should have been thrown out.
Which, once again, if they wanted to call a targeting on that, that's fine. Here's my issue. National media members, Emmanuel Acho and other
Oh,
dipshits out there,
No doubt.
calling for this kid to be suspended for the
yeah,
year
that's horseshit.
I
That's horseshit.
disagree with that, but he should have been ejected in the game.
is
I-
ridiculous. You know who should have been ejected
I'm
from
fine
that
with the
football
ejection.
game? There's only one player that guaranteed should have been ejected from that football game.
Sanders.
Shadur Sanders should have been ejected.
That motherfucker pokes
He
the guy
poked the
in
kid's
eye.
eyes out.
He did no. He didn't just
I
poke
agree
him.
with that too.
He didn't just poke him. He grabbed at his
Yeah,
eyes with his.
And
fingers.
they had it filmed. They've shown it on so many angles. You know how many national media coverages I have seen talk about him poking a kid in the eyes? Zero.
I agree.
Because they're afraid that they're going to lose their access to Dion.
Listen,
It's a disgrace.
if you're gonna
I agree with that,
If
Austin.
you're gonna-
120%.
talk shit during the pregame, talk shit before game, talk shit during the game, warm up in a Rolex as a quarterback, dude. Talk shit, you're gonna get hit. Like that's it. Like I'm
I
gonna
agree,
throw
no,
that hit
I
too,
agree with
bro.
Blake though that he should have got tossed,
should've
but
been ejected.
I also agree. I don't mind the hit. Like it's a tone setter. I'm okay with the hit, but he still should have been ejected, and Shadur should have been ejected also. They both should have got ejected. That's
Dude.
I
that's
didn't like the hit. at all. I didn't
Electric.
like it one bit.
That game was amazing.
The only
Also,
reason
the
why
tight
anyone
end for
has this
Colorado
big of an
State-
issue with the hit is because Travis Hunter is hurt.
No,
yeah.
It was-
Travis Hunter and pops up and is fine. No one, like everyone's like, it's a foul and there's no big deal.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
so
No one
late.
cares
It
if
was
he's
so
not
late.
hurt.
It was one step. Go watch it again. He takes one step.
Lacerated liver though, pretty impressive.
All right, and
That
you
can
know
kill
what?
it. That can kill a dude.
For
Yeah.
sure. And also, let's talk about how Travis Hunter is a physical badass.
Yeah.
Because not only did he lacerate his liver, he then goes out and says, "That's just football, man."
That's
I
football.
mean,
He
good
said-
for him.
He said if the doctors weren't there, I'd still be on the field.
Yeah.
He played
did,
the
he
next
played.
play, didn't he?
He was
Yeah.
good.
I was
No.
like,
He did not play the next play. His helmet
No,
was
he
off
went
and he
out.
was still on the
He
ground.
went out, and then like the next series, he was on the next defensive
He
series.
came
He was in
back
the game.
in.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
He
oh my
did.
gosh, he's playing.
dude,
I'm just saying,
give me that kid in my the Saints. If we are in a position to draft that son of a bitch, you better draft him. Because
on defense, not on offense.
I don't care what we
I'll let
draft
him
him
play
as. Just
both.
draft
I
him.
don't
No,
care.
he is not a good enough wide receiver for the NFL. He's not
I'll
even
let him play
close.
both.
Sure. I just want his mentality. I want
I'll
him.
put him in the slot. Dude's a dog.
Yeah, I want him. I don't. We'll figure out what he plays later, but
I'll
give
let him
me
play
him.
running back. I'll let him play quarterback.
Just give me him.
But hey, I know that we're here to call out the national media all the time. I know Colorado is the darlings right now, but we got to get it together though. Like, as Jonathan said, Colorado probably should have lost that game. They were out
Could have
coached
lost
for
that game.
They should have lost
Could have
that
lost
game.
Colorado State gave it to him. There were some really egregious flags that were penalties, but then there were also some plays on that game that you were like, that's.
I also can't believe that the NCAA or the Pac-12 or whoever's in charge of this hasn't come back and suspended Shedeur Sanders post game for him
Dude.
eye gouging somebody. That's insane.
You can't.
That's insane to me that he.
That dude walked
like-
over. Whoop.
It
No
wasn't
one's
like
even
he
said
like.
anything about it.
He three stooges it.
It wasn't like he like the guy had a visor and he like
Yeah,
smacked him
no,
in the
it-
helmet. Or he went like full on inside of the face mask and was just like, yeah, everything's fine.
And when he didn't get anything at first, he went deeper in there and
He
he's like,
got
"Hey,
harder."
give me something." That was that. If that was any other player, and you said it, if it was any other player, he'd been suspended. I mean,
I just don't know
guaranteed.
I don't know who's in charge of that. If the NCAA was in charge of it, I think he would be suspended. But if it's a Pac-12 thing or
Probably
whatever,
back-
or if it's just Colorado's
school, yeah,
responsibility,
there's
Oh, if it's Colorado, they're not suspending him.
yeah.
No.
Dion hadn't said nothing about it. No one's asked.
No
Dion
one's
about
asked a
it.
question about it. It's insane to me.
No,
Nobody will.
Hey,
They don't
hey,
want
Dion,
to,
are
they
you
don't want to
afraid-
mess with it.
I'm just like, hey, Dion, are you afraid that your son like can't handle if a team gets a little chippy, like he lost his cool? Like that's a good
Yeah.
question.
Also,
it is.
He didn't just
Think
lose
about-
the cool once or twice. He lost it before the game started. He lost it during
Also-
the game. Travis
also
Hunter
on the
gets hit,
layout-
and the first person to start shoving is Sanders.
Not
Like,
only
the
he
dude
doesn't
lost his
shove,
cool
he
every
headbutts,
fucking
which
play.
also should be a 15-yard penalty.
Oh, that's true.
They're
He
not
did.
gonna,
I'm
they're
not-
not going to do anything
the
because
headbutt.
there's so much money right now. That
Yeah.
was the most watched college football game in like 10 years.
The most expensive ticket in
Fox-
college football.
Fox was there. College Game Day was there. They're going to be there in 2 weeks when USC comes to town.
For sure.
Like, there's too much at stake for them to do
Well, actually, they might not be. If Colorado gets there, like if they get dog walked this weekend, they will not be there.
If Colorado wins this weekend, that would be the most hyped game.
If Colorado wins this weekend and going into USC, it should be
Oh,
the
that'd
most
be
hyped
insane.
game. If Colorado loses by 40 to Oregon, no one cares about them playing USC
think
because
that-
USC will beat them by 60 then.
I kind of think the national media is like using this as like their cash cow real quick.
For sure.
Full well knowing like Colorado's probably going to lose 5 or 6 games.
Oh well,
Three or
yeah,
four.
because
3 or
because
4.
let's be honest, if it wasn't Deion Sanders, even if it was just Colorado as normal Colorado or any other school, and you go in and beat the team that went to the national championship to start the year, who got dog walked in the national champion, and then beat Nebraska, there's no hype around Colorado State.
Oh, it's
no one
Deion.
cares.
Yeah,
it's all
there
Deion.
would be if it was like a program that used to be really good and hasn't been good lately. Like, you know,
Okay,
like
yeah,
like
that's fair, but
Miami,
not
right?
Colorado.
Miami used to be a powerhouse. So if Miami beat the national championship runner-up and then also handled Nebraska, then people will be like, oh, is not Miami back? Or like back in the day, like, Texas used to be a big deal. And like then we're back kind of thing. Like, oh, but it still wouldn't be this much hype. I can't believe that the Colorado game had more views than Texas versus Alabama. That's what blows my mind.
Wasn't even close.
No, sorry, not this weekend. The weekend previously.
Oh yeah.
Like when they played Nebraska, Colorado, Nebraska got more eyes than Texas versus Alabama, or maybe not more, but it was close. It was like 8.6 for.
I think Texas had more, but it was close.
It was 8.6 to like 8.4 million.
Yeah,
which is insane to me.
They're gonna ride this until it crashes and burns.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't they either? They're in the rating number.
Get the money while you can make the money. That's what Dion's doing right now. Make the money while you can make the money.
Yep.
All right, let's go back to everybody sucking. And we promise from this point on, we are not going to talk about Colorado ever again. Not ever. Well, until next week, we're gonna we also are gonna ride this cash cow to get as many views as possible.
Wait, we should make one really, really controversial thing about Colorado.
No.
Okay, I feel like we've said a lot.
Like,
no, don't say it. Mute his ass.
Could we just state that Dion might be the least, or let's put it this way: Dion is the number one person I would not want my son to be like.
I disagree.
I actually like Dion's mentality.
Okay, no. He's not
Dion
at the top
is
of my
the biggest
list.
fake, humbled human being on the planet.
I mean, Deshaun Watson. I would rather my son not be like Deshaun Watson. Bill
Dion
Cosby.
Is the one coach I don't want my son to take up as a role model.
I would be sending my son to
play for Dion. Would you want your son to play for Dion?
Yes, absolutely.
I would.
No,
Dion
absolutely
is not like a prima. I don't think he's like a prima donna coach. I think he's a hard ass.
You're telling me?
Yeah, he is.
I think Dion's
Jonathan,
like an
you're telling me you want
if your son could play anywhere in the country right now, you
Deion
would pick.
Sanders,
And your son came to you and was like, "Where do you think I should go and get coached? And who should I get coached by?"
Deion Sanders.
My number one will always be Nick Saban.
Nick Saban. 100%.
My number one will always be Nick Saban.
Of course.
Kirby Smart. 100%.
Kirby Smart would be number 2.
Of course, but we're talking about a guy that's been a Power 5 head coach for 3 games.
Yeah. My point to Jonathan is that there's other coaches out there. Like you got your Les Miles of the world, your Ed Orgerons of the world. Like
Coach
Dion's not at the
was awesome.
I do not want my son to be around someone who's trying to bang his co-ed instructors.
Dude, we don't know what Dion's about. All right, let's not get ahead of it.
But we don't know it exactly. We don't know anything yet, so he can't be at the bottom.
Is like kind of he is like your old school coach. I really believe
he's a
that.
general.
He is not your old school coach.
He's not.
How dare you?
In the sense that he does not put up with like any sort of like.
No, there's plenty of coaches like that out there.
What do you mean?
I don't even think Nick Saban's like that anymore.
Hey, Blake, what did his son wear in warm-ups?
A Rolex.
He wore a Rolex. He puts up with plenty of baloney. That's not old school.
No, from a discipline standpoint, I don't think he puts up with
his son last year, Shiloh last year, showed up 5 minutes late to a team meeting before the SWAC championship. And what happened? He benched him. Did not let him play.
Did you say Shiloh? Child 5 out of 5?
Child
no
5
one
out
cares.
Of 5. Least favorite child?
It doesn't matter. If he's going to do that to his own son, if he's going to do that to his own son, I want my son being coached by that.
His own son in a game, I bet he was favored by 45 points.
Doesn't matter.
They lost.
But they were favored by 45 points. I bet.
I actually don't think they were, but
whatever. I'm just saying, he's not an old school. You cannot look at anything that. Yes, he might be a tough ass, but you cannot look at him and say anything about Deion Sanders is old school.
Okay,
he's not old school at all.
He actually could be the newest new school that is probably going to be a problem.
You want to look at
old school?
Look at Jimbo Fisher.
No, I look
at on the hips.
I'm looking at like Blake
Kirby
is
Smart. I look at guys like Kirby Smart, or not maybe not, well, Kirby could be debated. Even like a lot of these guys, like I feel like they put up, if it's their star player, they're gonna put up with a lot of like bullcrap.
Deion's
We
not.
just
I
got
can't
done
wait.
talking about how his son poked
Yeah,
the fucking dude
I can't
in the
wait to see how
eye.
I agree
Shadur
with
Sanders
that.
doesn't play this week. I can't wait to see because he's going
Dude,
to bench him.
any other
Can't
program
wait.
he pulls that, he does that, he's benched.
I disagree 100%.
Suspended.
He's
I don't think
suspended.
that's true at all. I think that's 0% true.
Any other program he shows up
We're
to.
going like this.
Okay,
Jimbo's not. Jimbo's
It-
not.
If
Nick
he,
Saban's
I
not doing-
promise you,
Steve
Jimbo would have
Steve
Jimbo
Sarkisian
would have
is not
suspended him
benching
for a game
No,
if he
he would
warmed up
not.
with the
No, he would
Rolex
not.
on.
Blake,
My boy
Blake.
didn't get to play because he wore sleeves to practice last year. You're telling me that Jimbo's not suspending someone for a fucking Rolex?
Blake. Nick Saban
These motherfuckers.
didn't let Milroe play this week just to prove a point that his other
But
quarterbacks are
Milroe
garbage.
sucked the week before. It had nothing to do with what he did. It's because he sucked on the field.
But Nick Saban was willing to lose that game with suckier quarterbacks.
You
Just
two
to prove the
sound
point.
like old whites right now.
We're
Old
debating
whites.
old school football. We're debating who would be more old
Milroe
white.
was not benched because of some way he acted. He was benched because he sucks.
Okay, but he
But I
didn't
think Nick
suck as
Saban-
bad as Buckner and the other kid.
I
Whoa.
honestly think Nick Saban got a little ahead of himself here. I think he thought, let's let the other two play so these idiots that are saying that I made a mistake can see, no, these two dudes actually really suck. And now nobody can be disappointed with Milroe playing.
What did
Everyone
you
has to be
see?
happy with Milroe.
I'm just
did
saying-
you hear?
There's nothing about Dion. He might be strict, but he is not old school.
That's what I think.
He
That's what I
doesn't
think.
take his hat
Not
off.
old school.
He doesn't take his sunglasses off. He is new school.
That's the dumbest. That coach saying that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
As you look at all his interviews of him
I
wearing
know.
his
He's wearing
visor,
a hat and sunglasses in every single interview.
Did y'all hear Nick Saban gave me a good chuckle today? Did you hear him on his radio show when Alabama whatever called in and Nick Saban
Roll Todd
said-
Willie or whatever. it
yeah,
is.
roll. I've been waiting for you to call. What do we need to do different, Willie, or whatever? He said, look, Nick Saban straight up went through like the team and how they didn't get any sacks off 5-man rushes. It was all 3-man, or no, it was all on 5-man. No 3-man rushes got to him. Blah blah blah. Pretty much sitting there saying, all you Alabama fans. He didn't say this, but he's sitting there pretty much saying, all you Alabama fans need to shut the hell up because you are complaining and crying about nothing. And
That's
you
what
don't
I think
have
he was
not-
doing.
he's
That's what I
not. They're
think he
not
was doing.
complaining about nothing. They won 17-3 at South Florida.
That's what I think he was doing, though. I think
That's
he was proving a
something to
point.
complain
Like,
about.
yeah. I know these guys. Trust me. And now they have to say, all right, we'll trust you.
All right,
Sucked.
we got 15 minutes to wrap this up, and we're gonna fly through some things. Everyone sucks. The weather was awful this weekend everywhere, so I think that had a big thing to deal with it. Like Alabama looked terrible with their two crappy backup quarterbacks, but also the weather in that game was atrocious.
I can't
It
get
got
over it.
delayed.
They had like a 2 hour.
The Aggies got delayed. But basically the Big 12 had 4 giant losses. We already talked about Missouri. The Ohio Bobcats beat Iowa State. Matt Campbell's dead. Shane, would you like to bring up Matt Campbell being a scumbag as well?
Yeah, freaking spectators pretty much telling him how it is, how much he sucks at his job, and then he walks away, and then he's gonna come back. Oh, act like he's gonna fight him. I wish they would. His players would have let him go.
I wish
really
they
do.
would too. I wish
This
I would love
man
to.
was so fakely charged because he walked like
Yes.
a good 20 feet before he turned around.
Also,
Yes,
you know
yeah.
how easy it is as a college football coach where he's probably making what, $3 million, $4 million?
Right.
Just walk by.
Yeah.
You can
Or just
retire, bro.
Turn around and be like, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
you can,
Hey,
Or
if I was-
walk by
if I
him
was
and
Nick
say that
Saban-
I am making $4 million a year.
No, I wouldn't have done that. I would have just handed him a $100 bill out of my pocket and said, "Here you
There
go,
you go.
buddy."
I mean, fire
No
me.
one
You're
ca-
gonna owe.
no one
you're
carries
still gonna owe
cash anymore.
$20
Come on
million.
Still,
Hey, y'all remember
Not a good look.
back in the day when Cincinnati made the playoffs and now they're losing to Miami of Ohio now that they're in the Big 12?
Yeah, they
Big
suck.
12 does something dirty to you. And Oklahoma State lost to South Alabama by 26 at home.
That was wild.
USA, baby. Can't go against USA. And we like to talk a lot of smack about the Big 12, but the SEC also sucks because Tennessee lost to Florida because that swamp voodoo.
Tennessee also looked terrible.
They do, but when's the last time Tennessee beat Florida in the swamp? Like
No,
it's like 2003 or something insane.
it's been a long time.
So it's been 20 years. That's insane. Vandy, I mean, they had a great 2-0 start, but now they're losing to UNLV, so that sucks.
Yeah, that was ugly.
And Arkansas lost to the Storm and Mormons, so that's rough.
And Georgia, utterly pedestrian.
Okay, that was my next thing. Georgia. Okay, we all know, though, that South Carolina and that Beamer ball, they've got the opportunity to play good for a little bit, and Georgia eventually ends up
They did for 3 quarters.
running it down their throat at the end of the game. And just, I think Kirby Smart finally just was like, hey, I got 5 400-pound linemen, and I can just run the ball behind them on every play, and we'll get a first down 1,000 times. And that's how that went.
My buddy, who's a big Woo Pig fan, we talk quite often, and every year we text each other and say, "Oh, we're winning the Natty," and he says, "No, we're winning the Natty." He texted me Monday morning or Sunday morning. He said, "Well, we lost to the Mormons. Not a good look." I said, "No."
They were winning by like 10 points. I'm pretty sure at one point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch KJ Jefferson just destroy the Aggies for like the 3rd year in a row, even though Arkansas is terrible.
Don't say that.
I mean, it happens every time.
They've beaten us 1 out of the last 11. We're fine.
I know, but he looks so good, and on all the other games, like he just looks pathetic.
He does, but he'll make some boneheaded mistake where he'll try to jump over the line of scrimmage at the 4-yard line, and then
Yeah.
run fumble 9
Hey, but Dan Orlovsky said that he's going to make a good NFL quarterback. I mean,
No,
that's
it's not.
a
Man,
terrible thing.
we're gonna talk about Danielle. Like he might need to go into a cave. Also, this belongs on the NFL podcast as well. But can we not get the freaking college people plus Dan Orlovsky commentating Monday Night Football? Because not only was the game unwatchable, but then listening to those two hacks was
Commentary
awful.
was terrible.
Was it Fowler?
It was Fowler.
Fowler and Dano and oh god, that was
Gonna be
terrible.
same thing next week.
All I want is Dan Orlovsky to be forced to be the commentator for every Justin Fields game. All right, back to college football. Florida State survives Boston College, and then somehow
That was
loses a ranking to Texas, barely beating Wyoming at home.
Yeah,
that
didn't
don't
make
make
no
no
sense.
sense.
I will say the Boston College situation was a little concerning.
Yeah, but it was up north. The weather was bad. I mean,
Yeah,
the
it was
East Coast
late.
weather was bad.
Let their foot off the gas, and they just couldn't get a stop.
Yeah. But like Texas was tied 10-10 going in the 4th quarter. And I mean, they get the amazing Quinn Ewers throws the ball sideways. Xavier Worthy runs for 70 yards, touchdown. And then Wyoming throws a pick 6 on the next possession, and then that game's over. So they win by 3 touchdowns. So it looks more respectable. But at least Florida State was on the road. Texas was at home.
It's Wyoming.
Yeah.
The whole Texas thing was too lucky. I'll say lucky, but 2 lucky plays. That's the only reason it got out of hand.
And not only that, this is my favorite thing that happened is Texas not only goes up in the standings, but they also get another first place vote.
Yeah, they
And
got
here,
4 of them, didn't they?
here's why. I don't know if any of y'all are now on YouTube TV like I am, because we've quit the Direct TV because they don't have NFL Sunday Ticket.
Nobody.
You know what channel doesn't have the Longhorn Network? YouTube
Nobody
TV.
could watch the game.
No one could watch it, and so everyone just looked at the score and looked at Florida State's score and was like, "All right, I'll vote for them instead."
I
and
pirated it.
Whichever,
And as
Which-
soon as I started watching it, they went up by 21 points.
yeah, whichever person changed their vote to Texas. I think Texas had 2 first place votes last week, and they got 3 first place votes this week. That person should immediately lose their right to vote.
Yep.
I saw a list of who it is.
If it's anyone but Georgia right now,
Yeah.
you should not have a right to vote.
Yeah.
Georgia is back-to-back national champions. They have not looked the best, but no one has looked great in all 3 of their games. In fact, Texas has looked terrible in 2 of their games.
I still think they're going to lose 3 games.
Well, earlier you said 4 or 5, so that's very different than 3.
I said Colorado will lose 5.
Nah, I think you said Texas is going to mess around and lose 5 games earlier.
No, I think 3. I think they'll lose 3.
Oklahoma's going to be – I think they could lose to Oklahoma twice, but we'll find out. Texas has finally proved, though. I've decided how Texas wins the national championship and goes undefeated. You only play Quinn Ewers against good teams. He has now started 13 games, I think, and has only looked good in 3 of them against Alabama twice and Oklahoma once.
And one of those
Every other game he looks terrible. What'd you say?
The first Alabama game only played 2 series or 1 series.
No, he played the entire first quarter and threw for like 143 yards.
So he played 1 quarter.
Well, I mean, 143 yards in 1 quarter is pretty freaking good.
No, I agree.
I'll take that all day. He looked amazing. What I wanted to bring up, which I clicked on the wrong thing, is the fact that I'm stalling. He threw for 131 yards in that game, in the entire game.
And one of those in the Xavier.
How long was Xavier Worthy's touchdown catch?
I think it was 70 yards.
No, Xavier only had 56 yards receiving. So
it was probably 50.
44. So
it was longer than that.
Quinn Ewers threw for 87 yards.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Against Wyoming.
Against Wyoming, he threw for 87 yards on 20 attempts as well.
That's a bunch of scrappy white boys.
Yeah, I mean in the second half, Sark got smart and just realized we're Texas, we're bigger than you, and just gave Jonathan Brooks the ball 40 times, and he rushed for 164.
Yeah, you never looked at that game and thought Wyoming was going to win necessarily.
No, but you were just like, this looks bad.
Yeah, it did look bad.
Because when you're a Power 5 school and you're playing these nobody teams, it's all about optics.
Oh, 100%.
That's what you're looking for. You're looking for optics.
College football.
Yeah. I guess if you're like the A&Ms of the world where you're not going to make the playoffs, it doesn't matter. You just want to win. But like if you're like Texas, who at this point in the year now their goal is to make the playoffs. That's just what their goal is. It wasn't their goal at the beginning of the year, but it definitely is their goal now. If your goal is to make the playoffs, your goal is optics every week.
Well, 2020 proved that because one bad loss led to not making the playoff.
Correct. That year, our goal was to make the playoffs, and we didn't.
College football is all optics. It's all the optics.
Yeah, because you've got 30 stooges who aren't even watching the game, so they're just going to look at the clips. You've got people that are voting to give people first place votes, and they literally did not watch the Longhorn Network for that game at all. There's not a chance.
Exactly when I saw the votes come out, I was like, that's because nobody watched the game.
Yeah, it's because you couldn't.
Yeah, you couldn't. I had to Google it on Mets stream.
Yeah, as someone who is someone who lives in the Austin area and gets a lot of this, the talk show host actually in the area signed up for DirecTV because they're the people who have the Longhorn Network. And DirecTV's Longhorn Network cut off at the beginning of the 4th quarter and didn't show the end of the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they missed the last 10 minutes of the game.
So really nobody saw it.
Yeah. Like, literally no one saw the game unless you were in the stadium.
That's wild.
All right. That's going to do it for us on this episode pretty much. We'll talk about our last couple things. I'm not gonna lie. I scoured the NCAA this week for any giant coaching malpractices to put on the Urban Meyer coaching malpractice tracker. I didn't get any. There was nothing too egregious.
That was super glad either.
There was a coach in some random game that did Jimbo Fisher and took 2 timeouts on back-to-back plays for delay of game purposes, but it's not important enough to put on the tracker. So let's talk about our gambling. I think week 2, Vegas got our number a little bit. Currently, I am the only person with a positive record through 3 weeks. Blake and Shane are tied at last place with 4 and 5. Jonathan did his classic thing and bet a spread that was a field goal and pushed because that's just what he does. And I am 6-3 after going having a really good first 2 weeks. Well, I went 3-0 the first week, so that helped. But Blake this week, he hit on the Colts -1, Colts honestly look pretty good with Anthony Richardson playing quarterback.
Not bad.
He's out now.
Well, he can clear concussion protocol. We don't know. But then Vegas plus 9.5 did not cover. And he was in the stadium, and Green Bay collapsed on him at minus 1.5.
All my guys, Aaron Jones,
Yeah.
Bakhtiari, and Christian Watson all out. Screwed me.
Yeah, that is the thing for those who take our gambling advice as gospel. We do record these on Tuesday nights, and so that a lot can change between when we make our selections. It does make it hard because we need a challenge. Because when we actually place our bets, like on Saturday and Sunday mornings, like I mean, I make millions every day, so I don't know what y'all happen, but we're crushing it out there. Let's see. Shane also went 1-2 this week. The Dolphins covering minus 2.5 was a bit of a sweat there at the end. Did Cole Strange get the first down? We'll never know unless we put a chip in the football. And then the Giants
got a chip in the football.
Well, let's use it then. The Giants had a great comeback. We'll talk about that on the next episode tomorrow.
Screwed me.
And Mississippi State just laid an egg in against LSU. Jonathan and I both lost to the BS that is the Oklahoma State Cowboys. But for the foreseeable future, anytime Dallas Cowboys are minus 9.5, take it because their defense is real good. So he won on that. And of course, he pushed on the Saints on a field goal. So good for him. And I will always bet Liberty every week because they're covering machines. And then I also lost to Oklahoma State and the Giants. So bummer. But that's going to do it this week for this episode. Tune in tomorrow to the NFL version of the Football is King podcast. We appreciate it. Always remember, like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.